Alright, what is up guys? We are going to talk about the motorcycle. So, this is a 2003 BMW F650GS. We're just sitting here at the house. Dogs are right there. We got a vehicle driving down the road that's going to make a bunch of noise here in a second, but just going to try and knock out a video on the camera. The last video I posted was filmed from my phone up on the mountain. Wanted to do something a little more in-depth and actually use a camera. So, bike's pretty beat up, and I'm gonna start with that. So I picked this bike up for $1,500. Originally my plan was I was gonna build a Harley into an off-road bike, or I was gonna, go back to dirt bikes. I used to ride dirt bikes when I was younger, still have some of my motocross gear. Like, I had all these ideas, and it all stemmed from my pickup is a 1-ton long bed 4-door big block truck. I get like 9 miles to the gallon. It's a 95, 240,000 miles on 35-inch tires is what I'm driving right now. Not exactly a fuel efficient vehicle, especially if it's just me going up the mountain to go fishing, scouting, just go on a quick trip, just going up for fun. And it just, especially with fuel prices, it just turned into I was going less and less. Also driving into town to go to the gym every night, stuff like that. It just didn't make sense to keep driving my truck. I didn't want a car that I wouldn't enjoy or be able to just, go wherever I wanted. And so the idea of getting back into a motorcycle came around, and we got a semi driving by. Hold on. Again, I'm just hanging out here at the house trying to knock out a quick video, so yeah, there's gonna be some noise, but $1,500. It was hard to pass up. It's about 2.5 hours from my house. I hadn't even really rode a motorcycle in probably 10 years, let alone on the road, and definitely didn't have the right gear for it. But we dropped everything pretty much on a Saturday and raced over, and showed up, started it, rode around the block twice, said I'll take it, and handed him the cash. He handed me the title. I went to strap on my motocross helmet, and he was like, "Whoa, you're gonna ride this home, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he knew where I lived. We talked about it. Funny as it is, he grew up 30 minutes away from me, but ended up moving out there, and that's who I bought the bike from. But he was like, "Yeah, here's an actual like road bike helmet, right, with a full face shield. If you're gonna be driving that far, you're gonna want this." And it was stormy, crappy weather. I will show a little bit on the bike. The front tires really bald. Back tire has more tread, but not anything super aggressive. So I threw on my Kafaru puffy coat, and I just had on blue jeans and some old Loa hiking shoes, which actually got ruined on the ride home, which was unfortunate because they would have been great for riding the bike, but they were pretty old. So and then yeah, I threw on his face mask and some mechanics gloves. That's just what I had. So left his house, made it about 15 miles down the road, and realized I didn't have rear brakes. Not that they gave out or broke or anything, I just hadn't checked them before then. Again, I did 2 laps around the block, so it's like, it'll be fine. About 5 miles further down the road, huge rainstorm hits. Again, I'm in the wrong gear for this, and I just keep going. Was following my wife in her truck, and I kept looking at the speedometer thinking something was wrong with the speedometer. It must be off, because we just seemed to be going really fast, especially when we got into the worst part of the storm. Like, she said she had her wipers on high and couldn't even hardly see, and my speedometer still showed we were going real fast, and turns out she was just going real fast. Yeah, it just is what it is. But again, pretty much bald tire, huge rainstorm, no rear brakes, and again, wrong gear, just getting it. So 2.5 hour drive home. Bike ended up getting about 80 miles to the gallon, which was amazing. Got home, went to fix the rear brakes, found it, or noticed that the rear chain was just, I can't believe it stayed on, let's put it that way. Went to loosen the axle nut, and the axle nut was like barely past hand tight, like can't believe something bad didn't happen there. Loosened it, and then went to kind of wiggle the rear tire so I could, you know, get it centered and start tightening the chain, or tightening the tensioners and get the chain tight, and wiggled the chain, and the chain tensioners about fell off the bike because they were not actually even tight, which explains the looseness of the chain. So that was the very first experience, very first day, and first time I'd been back on a bike in about 10 years, and made it home, and a little surprised by that, if we're being completely honest, but right, nothing went wrong, and we'll just be happy about that. But we're gonna look at the bike a little more. Again, this bike has got a lot of work it needs. So this is my front tire. It needs new front tire because the rear brakes weren't working. He was only using the front brakes, and I don't know if you can tell, but the pads are pretty well gone. Rotor's pretty trashed. This normally has a little fender piece that comes out here to help catch stuff. It's broke off. This plastic has been broke and just glued back together on the inside. There's a huge crack all the way through it. It has been laid down more than a few times. There's this side, no, other side's got some JB weld on the covers. Seat is pretty well trashed, which was a common issue for these bikes apparently. Lots of options to get that fixed. I'm going to work on, as you can see, it's been laid down a little bit. There's also usually a little flare piece, or fender piece that comes around to here that's been broke off. I did fix the rear brakes. Again, the rear tire has more tread, but obviously not a ton. This light, he busted off laying it down. It's super crazy, overdid the epoxy on it. I actually have a new one in the house. I just haven't had time to get it on there and hope that it comes off of the bike. And also, he'd spilled epoxy all down here. I got most of it off, but it was all over the bike. Again, it's been laid down. It has been rode on the mountain pretty good. This cover that is JB weld on that cover. So I put these mirrors on. I wanted something. It just had one big single. This side had been broke off, and so he'd put like a helicoil in it to thread into. So these are actually, as funny as it is, this is a different size bolt than this one because that one got broke off. The bike only has 18,000 miles. I was going to show you, but doesn't work if the key's not in it. We're going to throw the key in there real quick, but has 18,000 miles. It does have heated grips, which were a lifesaver on the ride back. And so there you go, 18801. That's, yeah. Kind of funny that's where it's at. But I bought the bike with just barely over 18,000, so I've put almost 800 miles on it already. I also put this windshield on. It had the factory one, which sits about this much above the dash. Like, I mean, just barely, and just did not block wind at all. And not only did it not block wind, it actually kind of like pushed it right into your face. I also put in a way brighter headlight. My wife told me that in the rainstorm driving home, she actually could not even see me in the rain with my headlights on. So I bought a way brighter bulb, put on this smoked mirror, smoked windshield. It's still kind of short. I mean, it's still, the wind still kind of hits you in the face, but you can duck just a little and really get behind that. More just trying to help, again, tighten the chain, fix the rear brakes, flush the front brake system out because the fluid looks like crap, change the oil, and unfortunately, this last trip up the mountain, you can't really see, it's dark, I put a hole in the radiator. So that is one of the reasons that I decided to make this video tonight, is because I can't go ride tonight. The new radiator actually showed up. It is aftermarket, one piece aluminum. The BMWs have a built-in like thermostat piece, and they break quite often from the reviews I was, or the stuff I was reading. And so I didn't really want to buy a used BMW radiator to put back in. I didn't want to trust a JB welded radiator where this is going to be going on the mountain, and a lot of the time solo. Every trip's probably going to be mostly solo. I don't really have any friends that do this stuff. All 800 miles on this bike so far have been solo. Like, I haven't even been out riding and ran into somebody and just putted along with them. Yeah, there's a lot to do on the bike. I did a new spark plug. Again, gonna do a radiator this weekend. There was just a lot of little things I fixed here and there, but again, we're getting about 70 miles a gallon. Fork seals leak pretty good. But I mean, overall, right, it was a $1,500 bike. Pretty hard to complain about a $1,500 bike getting 70 miles. I get like 70 to 72 miles a gallon average, cruising around town and then on the highway and then on the mountain. But it's pretty hard to complain about that for $1,500, even though I've had to put some money into it. Still gonna do new front tire, new rear tire. Going to get some small luggage for this. I've just been riding with my EDC bag on my back. I'm probably going to put a small tank bag here. One thing about this bike is this is actually not the gas tank. This side is your air. This side is your oil tank. Your gas tank is actually right here under the seat, which really brings the weight of the bike center of gravity down. And the bike sits really low. It's actually really nice for jumping on, cruising around on the mountain. Suspension is super adjustable. This is your preload adjustment right here. Sorry, my arm was in the way. I couldn't get the camera over. But there's your preload there, and then you can actually come in through here and adjust the shock stiffness itself. So I've been tweaking with the suspension a lot as far as finding that happy zone for cruising around on the road, going through washboarded dirt roads, but not beating the snot out of me through. There's some roads up here that are really, really just not maintained and beat to hell. So trying to find a happy middle ground. But again, I've put 800 miles on this in, I don't think we've even owned this a month yet. I think this upcoming weekend will be almost a month. Yeah, I think Saturday will be 4 weeks. 4 full weeks. Now, going into the plans for the bike, right? So, we're going to actually come set the camera back over here so I don't have to hold it and freehand it the whole time. See if we can get it back where we had it so it doesn't tip too much. Sorry. And I think we're good. So, again, I'm going to get some small luggage to sit on the sides of the bag. There's plenty of aftermarket stuff. They've got the big giant hard panniers, all this stuff. I'm not going to be doing like big touring event type deals with this bike, right? I'm not going to be going for 4 or 5 days. Even during hunting season, it's going to be a truck going with me because I'm going to need a cooler, stuff like that. Now, I would like to get a ramp or just a small trailer so I could haul this up there and cruise around on the bike still. But still going to be in a truck, right? Need a cooler, need the ability to haul meat out without having crap hanging all over the bike and risking a wreck and ruining meat. But as far as day trips, maybe a weekend scouting trip, I'm just gonna wear a backpack with a fair amount of my gear. I want to get some small saddlebags for maybe a little extra. And quite honestly, I mean, I have my Cafaro sleeping bag, Cafaro tarp, right? I have great backpacking gear that collapses down really small. But I also think I'm just going to throw a bedroll on top, just cruise up with this, have a bedroll, maybe a little bit of stuff in the backpack, and go for it. So, looks like it's getting ready to rain, so I guess we better cut this one pretty short. I got to do a new seat cover. I'm gonna change the foam out. It's been something that's been heavily recommended. Also some better pegs. They're just the factory. They're about that wide. Not real great on the mountain, even in the little bit of mud I've touched, and it's been a super dry year. This is the first rainstorm in like a month right here. And even then, that little bit of mud's been pretty slick. So yeah, that's the bike. That's, you know, some basic stuff about it, basic parts of the plan. I don't think I'm gonna fix the front fender flare piece. I don't think I'm gonna fix the rear one either. I heard they just continue to break off. I did order some different covers for the radiator. The radiator has plastic fins aimed down, and so as the tire's flipping rocks up, it's actually almost directing it straight into the radiator. And what happened was a rock went in under there and then wedged itself between the radiator and the frame and rubbed a hole into it. So I will also be taking some foam strips along that frame piece that the radiator sits against to hopefully stop rocks from getting in between there, but air still being able to flow through. Lots of plans for the bike, lots of trips ahead. Really haven't had a chance to go spend the night yet. It's mostly just been getting stuff ready, making sure the bike's gonna be okay. Last weekend, Father's Day, was actually the furthest I've gone on the mountain with it, and I went all the way up above my house, all the way to where like the main road ends, and then came all the way back down, and then that's unfortunately when I put the hole in the radiator. But it did great up until the rock rubbed a hole through the radiator. I can't go out this weekend. I'm on call, so I'm gonna just spend the weekend getting the bike, again, radiator fixed, maybe do some wire mesh or something behind the plastic on the radiator covers for now to protect them until those other protectors show up. But just gonna put some time in, try and get everything squared away, and hopefully go on a trip next weekend. I know we're planning to go up to the mountain. We've got a cabin up there. I think parents are dragging their camper up there. We usually go up there 4th of July anyways, so I think it's gonna be a really fun test. Go ahead and throw a bedroll on and a backpack on my back and see what it's like to ride up the road at 60 miles an hour and then baja up into the mountain and go camping. So it is only a 650, and it's probably a good thing. It's a 5-speed. It's a big single cylinder engine, and so vibration at higher RPMs get pretty rough. I've done 80 on it. I've done a little over that just to see. It really seems to just strive in 5th gear at 70 miles per hour. I mean, it just cruises, and it still is pretty vibration heavy, but not shaky to death. But honestly, very, very simple to work on bike. Not too expensive as far as parts are concerned. So overall, yes, it's taking me a lot of parts to fix it up for a 23-year-old bike, though. I don't know what else you would expect. But here comes the rain. I want to get a cover back on this, and more than anything, get the camera out of the rain. So you guys have a good one, and hopefully we'll have some cool motorcycle video adventure stuff coming up.